Today we're going to be watching a video by a real intellectual, Christian YouTuber Kap Chatfield. This video is called Ryan Garcia Exposes Satanic Rituals in Hollywood, so of course we have to check it out. So let's do that and find out what we can make of it.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. This is getting stranger and stranger. Just a couple days
Fun fact, did you know people most often say, "I'm not gonna lie," when they are about to knowingly lie?
ago, I posted a video compiling 2 interviews on the Joe Rogan Experience, Kid Rock and Katt Williams, who were both exposing these satanic rituals that were happening in Hollywood. Kid Rock was specifically talking about this thing called Bohemian Grove,
Which he learned about on YouTube.
and it blew up. It's like one of the biggest topics on the internet right now. And you have people in the entertainment industry talking about this publicly, but it's not stopping with them. Just a couple of days later, professional boxer Ryan Garcia was caught on a hot mic. Literally, I mean, he said it publicly on X.com with Andrew Tate talking about the same thing.
Okay, that's not really a hot mic, but also, if you can't trust Katt Williams, Kid Rock, and some boxer with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, who can you trust?
I want to share with you what he said after what he said, because you see, like, when you see the string of the story together, it's very bizarre, and it makes you wonder what.
Yeah, of course it's very bizarre. He's obviously not well.
What's really happening in the world right now. And then ultimately, I want you to stick around to the end, because this is going to blow your mind. And it's time that you and I start making decisions about what we're going to do in order to make sure that we don't get taken advantage of by this darkness.
Okay, this sounds like just preparing for another January 6th to me. Cap better be careful here.
It's covering the earth right now. So be warned, like the last video I did had even more, or had some explicit language. This one's got even more. So if you got kids in the room, please be aware of that.
If you're watching this channel, please remove your children from the room literally anytime you're watching this channel. You don't need to be exposing your children to Kap Chatfield.
There's too much of it for me to bleep out, but I want you to listen to what Ryan has to say, and then I'm gonna string some things together, which it's gonna blow your mind.
Bro, I don't give a fuck, bro. They held me down. They made me watch little kids get. I don't give a fuck anymore. They fucking took me to the fucking woods, bro, and they fucking tied. I'm not fucking joking, bro. I have fucking proof, bro. I don't give a fuck.
I would like to see this proof, personally. I mean, I don't want to see exactly what he's describing, but he says he has proof. I would like to see that.
Bro, I fucking will show you every fucking video you could ever fucking believe. Bohemian.
We are about to see some YouTube videos like you've never seen before. Be prepared to quote-unquote critical think your heart out.
Grove is real. They fucking tied me down and they made me fucking watch, dog. I absolutely don't give a fuck anymore. I don't give a fuck, bro. They me. I was 2 years old. They yes.
How do you remember that? I mean, I don't have any memories from 2 years old. Does anybody else out there? I think that's extremely uncommon and unlikely.
I fucking lost it. They're little kids.
He doesn't want to take us all, so let's go. Come on, Ryan. He doesn't want to take us.
Come on, fuck this guy, dude. Bro, fuck this dude, dude. Who?
I love how, like, it's obviously a very, like, dark story anyway, and somehow they feel the need to add, like, creepy music to it. I mean, Jesus, we're entertaining ourselves to death here, it feels like.
Bro, you know the higher elites, bro. You already know who they are, bro.
I'm sure he's probably talking about the Jews. It's always the Jews for some reason. It's never, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, those people. It's always the Jews. Every single time.
You know the path you're going down is dangerous, my friend.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a.
All right, so Ryan is on this Twitter space, or this X space, with Andrew Tate, and is talking about these things that he allegedly saw in the woods. He said that he was tied down. He was forced to watch kids get blank for these rituals.
This brings up a lot of questions. And the first question I have is just this. Let's say you are a Satanic Cabal elite guy who does unspeakable things to children. Let's say this is the case. Why would you make someone watch and then leave them, like, to tell people about it? Doesn't this seem like one of those leave no witnesses kinds of situation? If you are doing probably the most heinous thing imaginable, I think if you are going as far as to make someone else watch, you're probably not going to leave them alive afterwards. Especially not if they start talking about it. But here he is.
He says he has proof of it. I haven't seen any proof on the internet of it.
So here is some rare critical thinking from Kap Chatfield. I don't know if he's just like covering himself because he's afraid of like being sued, or if he's afraid of like, you know, the Satanic Cabal coming for him. I don't know what he's afraid of, but he's actually using some critical thinking skills here to say, well, there's no proof, and he does this a little bit more, which is actually fairly impressive for Kap Chatfield. I mean, the bar is low, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary friends.
The clip you see above is from Alex Jones. He did an expose of this, like, I think a few decades ago,
So, you know, we've got Katt Williams, we've got Kid Rock, we've got a boxer with CTE, and we've got Alex Jones. A more trustable cast could never be assembled, folks.
I highlighted in my last video. But Andrew Tate is saying something very interesting. And Andrew Tate, you know, highly, like, super famous figure, highly controversial figure.
And interestingly enough, the closest thing to a cabal of ritual sexual abusers, I guess you could say. Funnily enough.
And just for the things that he said in the past, but a guy who has clearly had a target on his back, especially from the mainstream media.
For sex trafficking women, in fact. You know, this is very interesting stuff to me, how, like, these QAnon conspiracy types are like, you know, we must take down the sex traffickers. We must take on this terrible sex trafficking industry that is just going, just running free and hurting people. And then Andrew Tate gets raided for it, and they're like, wait, no, not like that. I didn't mean like, not him.
Over the past handful of months, at the very least, is telling Ryan, you're going down a dangerous path. Like, is he going down a dangerous path because he's making this stuff up? Or is he going down a dangerous path because he's exposing something that other people, these elites, don't want him to expose?
I think most likely he's going down a dangerous path because he's extremely mentally unwell. And, I mean, imagine if, like, you are the manager of a fight. You have booked this guy for a fight, and you hear him saying this absolutely unhinged stuff. That's frankly the kind of stuff that mass shooters say before they get busy. You are going to hear this and start to immediately rethink booking this guy for a fight or anything else. You are going to suddenly find him to be very scary indeed. You are not going to want him on a stage, and if you have any ethics about you whatsoever, part of the reason for that is going to be, what have we done to this poor guy? How have we warped his brain? You know, there's a term called punch drunk, and punch drunk basically was the way of, like, defining chronic traumatic encephalopathy before that was a known thing to science. That was only figured out relatively recently. You know, any number of head injuries, an arbitrary number of them, will eventually lead to a dementia-like state, and we all know what's happened with CTE. I mean, Chris Benoit is a good example of that. I mean, he was a normal guy, from what we know. He was a normal guy, loved his family, and then what happens? He becomes violent, he becomes abusive, and eventually he commits unspeakable acts to his wife and child, right? I think it was one child. And then, of course, does something terrible to himself. And that's not the only case. There have been other cases like that. I mean, people with CTE, they start saying crazy stuff. And then they commit terrible, violent acts sometimes, either on themselves or other people. And now it's hard to say for sure that's what's going on here. He could have just been on drugs or drunk. He could just be mentally ill already, for, you know, just not from that. It's hard to know. But I think far and away the least likely explanation is the story he is telling is true. I think that's way, way down the list. You can think of a lot more possible true stories. Now, I'm not saying for sure that his story is false. I mean, I guess it could be. Who knows? But I am saying it's very, very low on the list.
Let's keep watching.
Fuck, they can't touch me. I'm a god.
And there we have it. There we have him claiming to be a god. I mean, Think about the other people you know who have claimed to be gods. How mentally well are they? How normal are they? I mean, if somebody is declaring themselves to be a god, think about Kanye, who recently declared himself a god and stuff. That kind of thing, I think, is a pretty prominent signifier of severe mental unwellness.
I care about you a lot, and I can assure you from my own personal experience that they can touch you. Which is, well, bro, my door gets kicked in if I say what I'm thinking. You know,
Your door gets kicked in, Andrew Tate. If you are involved in sex trafficking organizations, which you are,
there's going to be people who believe you're just saying this because you've, I don't know, had a mental breakdown or taken drugs and you're repeating some of the...
He called himself a god a second ago. I think that is a sign that something is going on here, and it's not what he claims is going on here that's going on here.
things you said on the internet.
He did say, I am a god, which...
See, somehow, Kap Chatfield, for the first time in any video I've seen of him, is just whipping out those critical thinking skills. Now, he doesn't do it consistently. He does have his moments here, and you're about to see some of them. But so far, so good. I appreciate this. Good job, Kap Chatfield, this one time.
Which later he says he believes in Jesus, which he might, but if you're claiming that you're a god, you, I don't know what Bible you're reading, because there's only one God.
Fantastic stuff, Kap.
But anywho, yeah, it sounds erratic. It sounds like the amount he's cursing, it's like he's in this hyperventilated state, right? Hyper emotional state. Yet Andrew, calm and collected, is saying, if I were to say what I'm thinking right now, I would have my door kicked in. And he probably wouldn't be lying, because
he has a victim complex. Andrew Tate and people like him are perpetual victims. And he has done really bad things, and I think that is mostly beyond dispute unless you're a fanboy of his and can't admit that the people you like ever do anything wrong. This is one problem that these people have. Anytime somebody they like does something wrong, they're just like, well, no, it didn't happen. That didn't happen at all. You know that meme of, the guy who plays Commander Riker in Star Trek The Next Generation, what's his name? Jonathan Frakes, where he was in that one show, where they would talk about stories that may have happened, and then he would say at the very end of the episode regarding certain stories, it's true, or it never happened. It's fake. We made it up. That's what this is what this reminds me of. When these people are like, Andrew Tate is accused of something, and the evidence, they got him dead to rights on it, and his fans are like, it's fake. We made it up. It's a mistake. You're wrong.
His door kicked in multiple times in the past year or so.
You've, I don't know, had a mental breakdown or taken drugs and you're repeating some of the things you said on the internet.
Of course they're going to want that, and I have all...
Why would you put the music so loud you can't even hear what the guy is saying in the video trying to scare people?
The information possible. The right time I'm going to release all of it, but they're already calling me to tell me to stop. I don't give a fuck, dude. They can't stop me because they listen to the devil. I listen to God. God gave me authority. It's over for everybody, bro.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to expose everybody.
Ryan, to be honest with you, I believe that she's got your best interest at heart.
Okay, I get that, but I don't care. At the end
So
of
I
the
think
day,
it's like his girlfriend or his friend in the background who's like, you got to chill out with this. And he's like, no, I'm exposing this.
And what happens to people like Kap, or not Kap? Sorry, Kap, I didn't mean to include you in this. We know what happens to people like you. You make a whole lot of money off of complete rubes. But what happens to people like Ryan Garcia, who they go completely just unhinged, insane, and start ignoring the people who love them and are concerned about them and just say, well, fuck you, I'm a god. What happens to people who act like this and do things like this? What kind of where do their lives go? I mean, for one good example, we can look at Kanye West, who is probably among the most famous people alive, if not the most famous person alive. And Kanye, he may have a whole lot of money and fame and a legacy of really great music, because he is just one of the best. But all of that aside, where does he have in his personal life? Well, he's got a, girlfriend, wife, who probably doesn't love him and just uses him for the clout. He's got a bunch of orbiters who do the same. He doesn't have anybody who's genuine in his life. He is alone. Completely and utterly alone. Everybody has left him. They can't tolerate him. The only people who can tolerate him are the people who want to use his fame for their ends. That's it. And it's a sad thing when it happens. I mean, I've known cases like this on a much smaller level in my own life, where I have known like people who they used to have a lot of support. They used to have a lot of friends. They used to have a lot of love in their lives. They used to have pretty decent lives. And then something sort of like snapped and they lost it and ended up with nothing. And you hate to see it. You really do. I imagine the people who care about Ryan Garcia probably know this. They probably know he's going in a very dangerous, dark direction for himself. Not because some mysterious dark cabal is going to unalive him or throw him in prison or sacrifice him to Molech or something like that, but because he's going to become another Kanye West and lose everything. And that's just something that people don't want to see happen. You want to avoid that kind of outcome. But it's hard to avoid. We'll see how it goes.
I'm trying to really
Crazy.
stop every fucking devil-worshipping bitch.
Insane.
You can say that again.
Wow. Well, that was intense. So I want to show you a couple more things that kind of bring this to light. Because let me know in the comments. Do you think he's crazy? Do you think he's lost his mind? Do you think he's like going off? Because he's got a fight coming up. Is this for a publicity stunt so that he can get more?
No, I don't think this is a publicity stunt. But if it is a publicity stunt, it is a bad one. This is more likely to get the fight canceled for his mental well-being.
Eyeballs on his fight. I don't know if he would need it, but people will do anything these days for attention on the internet, so I don't want to minimize that. But it is
You can say that again.
interesting that you have Kid Rock saying the exact same thing on Joe Rogan recently. You have Katt Williams exposing this stuff on Joe Rogan and on Shannon Sharp's podcast recently.
Well, that does it, folks. I couldn't be more convinced if O.J. Simpson, Tila Tequila, and Mel Gibson came out swinging with it.
A couple more things. Jimmy Levy, I don't know if you know this guy. My understanding is this guy, at the very least, was one of the best contestants on American Idol or The Voice or something a while ago.
Couldn't you, like, Google it?
Or he actually ended up winning the whole thing. Forgive me for not knowing too much about his career, but I do know that this guy is extremely famous in the music industry because he's had a handful of opportunities to have like a #1 song on iTunes and on Billboard. The dude completely left the entertainment industry. I'll actually read exactly what he commented on Ryan's post. He said, "Ryan is not lying. I've been in the music industry for over 10 years. A lot of these people worship the devil and do satanic rituals on children. When I started exposing the industry for what it was, everyone in the industry turned against me and mocked me and even threatened my life." I remember that happening in 2020.
Okay, so I could see if he turned against some popular celebrities, like, let's say, Taylor Swift, people threatening his life. I mean, Swifties can get pretty wild. Or K-pop people, for example. Think about that. I mean, honestly, the threshold for having your life threatened on the internet is actually incredibly low. Now, I mean, everyone in the industry turned against me and mocked me. Okay, well, I mean, if you're saying crazy things, like Kanye West, that's going to happen. So, this guy says he received multi-million-dollar contracts that he turned down. I would like to see some proof of that claim. Where are these multi-million-dollar contracts, and where is the proof he turned them down? So far, this is a lot of hearsay, isn't it, folks?
20 actually. I received multi-million-dollar contracts that I turned down because I was asked not to speak about God or the truth.
How? How does that happen? I mean, I know plenty of... Think about Kanye... I know I'm referencing Kanye West too much in this post, but think about Kanye West. I mean, Kanye West made a lot of his early career with songs about Jesus. You remember that song, Jesus Walks? There are plenty of celebrities in the music industry who talk about God or the truth, whatever that is. Can anybody believe this shit, really?
In the end, God allowed me to have multiple #1 Billboard charting records. Amen. Speaking the truth without any deals, only the Holy Spirit. So be encouraged. Whatever's going on, God's bigger than anything that's happening in the world. Realizing that the devil was real made me turn to Jesus. Listen to that. I'm going to repeat it. Realizing the devil was real made me turn to Jesus, even though I was born Jewish.
Holy mother of non sequiturs, Batman. I don't know if you know this, but the Jews actually believe in a devil of sorts. Now, it's not the same as the Christian devil. The Christian devil is very much sort of like a Gnostic, dualistic position where the devil is basically a counterpart to God. He's like a demigod of evil and all that good stuff. In Judaism, it's a little bit different, where the devil is more God's prosecutor who brings cases against people to determine their loyalty. I mean, like, I think the case of Job and how it's seen very differently by Christians and Jews is a good example of that. In Christianity, the devil just wanted to get Job, I guess. In Judaism, he was prosecuting a case against Job, and he was on God's side. He's part of God's council, more or less. So it's a very weird non sequitur. Like, Jews believe in the devil, just that he has a very different role. But whatever.
Giving my life to God was the best decision I've ever made. I stand with Ryan and I pray a hedge of protection over him as he exposes the darkness in Jesus' name. So,
Also, just for the record, doesn't it seem odd that you would realize evil is in the world and immediately, like, turn to Jesus? I mean, you know, the Bible says, I, the Lord, create evil. So if this evil stuff is really happening, I hate to break it to you, Satan may be the proximate cause of it. But who is behind that particular throne? Will it be the guy who says, I, the Lord, create evil?
so you have yet another person who's saying, I've seen it. It's why I left the entertainment industry. In fact, the darkness that I saw made me realize there's got to be a God, and I need to get on the right side of that relationship with him.
Proof, bro. We need proof. Where is the proof? Making claims is not proof. You can claim just about anything, you know? I mean, people claim they were abducted by aliens. Do I think that means people were abducted by aliens? Well, hell no. Muhammad had claims that he split the moon in half. Do I think Muhammad split the moon in half? Of course not. People claim in Africa, preachers today in Africa claim they bring the dead back to life. Do I believe that? No. Do you believe that? Probably not, if you have any sanity left inside of you. So people make claims all the time. And it doesn't matter how many people are making those claims. I mean, it doesn't make them any more true. There's something like 2 billion Christians. I don't believe them. There's 1.5 billion Muslims. I don't believe them either. 1 billion Hindus. Don't believe them. Doesn't matter. You're going to have to give me more than claims. I need evidence.
You're going to look here. I'm just going to play this like kind of loosely in the background. What's with all these allusions to it, even in the mainstream?
It's interesting. People find it interesting and fascinating. I mean, pop culture influences a lot of how people feel about this stuff. A lot of these conspiracies actually come from pop culture. It's not pop culture referencing these conspiracies. It's pop culture inventing these conspiracies accidentally. You know, making stuff up for entertainment value, and then a bunch of crazy people start thinking, oh my God, this must be real. You gotta wonder why, if you are a satanic elite performing unspeakable acts on children or committing sacrifices to Molech or whatever, if you are doing that, why would you want to signal that to the world? Why would you want to tell the world about that? Why would you want to let anybody in on this little plan? Doesn't that seem like a big blind spot here? I mean, if I am doing something really shady or sketchy, I'm not going to want to, like, tell everybody about it. I'm not going to want to hint at it. Nothing like that. So why do these satanic, child-loving elites, why do they want to do that? Why do they want to signal it?
Cards, if you're familiar with this show on Netflix, they have, I didn't even know this.
And especially in a way that, you know, the smartest person to ever drop out of your local high school and never leave his hometown can figure out. Why would they want that guy to be able to figure it out?
I don't watch the show, but they have a whole scene. It's kind of like this predictive programming thing, possibly. I don't know. But here they are doing this same ritual in that same grove with the same owl statue.
Bro, it's fiction. Do you know how TV works? I mean, House of Cards. Let's just use House of Cards itself as an example. I mean, that show is like the pinnacle of unbelievable things. Let me tell you how unbelievable the plot of this show is. In this show, House of Cards, Frank Underwood, a Democrat, by the way, is elected president by just like a teeny tiny thread of just little. Tennessee does it. It's Tennessee that elects a Democrat president in this show. That tells you how far removed from reality this TV show actually is.
And they put this like figure on this altar, and then they set the figure on fire. I'm not really sure what this figure, like the statue represents. People say it represents the god of Moloch, which was the god, by the way, in the Old Testament that the pagans would take their babies, put the babies on an altar, and burn the babies alive as a form of worship to this false god, which sounds a lot like what we do today.
Which sounds a lot like what we do today. I'm not doing that. What are you doing, Cap?
With Planned Parenthood. Anybody watch the state of...
With Planned Parenthood is not burning babies alive on an altar to Molech.
The Union yesterday? That's crazy how much people love that stuff. So here, you have that's Kevin Spacey taking the hood off, House of Cards. Entertainment, right? It's just entertainment?
Correct.
You let me know in the comments what you think about what Hollywood is trying to do by putting this imagery in front of our face.
Entertain people because they know people are into this stuff. People love conspiracies, so here's a conspiracy for you.
So, final things I'm going to show you. Here's Ryan.
I also have a side thought here. I mean, we know who the people are that are messing up our planet. It's the billionaires who don't care, and they're doing it openly. They don't try to hide it at all. Because when you're really doing something that bad, you don't have to hide it. I mean, a lot of people just straight up are not going to believe it out of denial. And even if they do believe it, they're not going to believe it's ever going to affect them anyway. And even if it does for a while, they're probably not going to care for very long as they rebuild and go on with their lives. I think these conspiracies about satanic, child-loving elites, as it were, I think these things are essentially a shame response. I mean, we know who the people are causing climate change and wrecking our planet, polluting everything, destroying the world, making it potentially that humanity won't be able to have advanced civilization in a couple hundred years or so. We know who these people are. We know their names. We know their faces. We know everything about them. Forbes publishes lists of these people and who they work with, politicians. They work with the politicians. And by work with, I mean buy off. We know this. I mean, this has been happening this isn't a conspiracy. They're doing it right out in the open. They don't care. Ever heard of ALEC? ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. It is currently defunct because it attracted so much criticism for literally writing legislation for conservative lawmakers in the open. It was more than just a lobbying group. They literally wrote the legislation that conservative lawmakers would pass. A lot of Democrats too. I mean, these are open conspiracies. They didn't care. They didn't care at all. Because when you're doing that, when you have that much power, you can do it completely openly. You don't have to hide anything. So we invent these little conspiracies of satanic, elites doing this cabal stuff because we're ashamed. We're ashamed because we know who the real enemy is. We know who the real people are responsible for destroying our planet and making us hate each other. We know who they really are. They have names, faces. We can look at them in a Forbes list. We can just go on Wikipedia, look at them in a list of politicians in America. We know who these people are that are messing everything up. We know their names. And we are ashamed we're not doing something about it. So what do? We invent these mysterious satanic elites who are the real power behind the throne. Because if there's the real power behind the throne, the unnamables, the untouchables, not just billionaires, not just politicians, but the people pulling the strings behind them, they are completely untouchable. You can't touch a fantasy. We are so ashamed of ourselves, we are inventing fantasy to withdraw into, because you can't take on a fantasy. That's what I think.
Ryan Garcia again after this thing. So he's probably more in a sober state. I don't know if he was drunk or whatever, but listen to what he has to say here in this clip.
Hey guys, it's me, Ryan. I'm coming on here to explain what's going on. I'm not in possession of my phone. I can't get access to my Instagram.
How are you posting?
My cards are locked. And I'm just being real.
So here's the thing. How do you get your cards locked? Let's say your debit card, for example. How do you get your cards locked? Well, when I do it, it's usually because I've gone a little bit crazy and started spending way too much money in very sketchy places, and my bank gets a little bit concerned about that. How often does this happen, you might ask? Well, when I'm going off, when I'm having a real one, it may be 2 or 3 times a week. My bank is very protective of me. I imagine if he is in some kind of state of mania or, straight up psychosis, he may be spending way too much money, and his banks may have problems with that. You know how you solve that? Well, you got to call him up. If this guy is a typical, like, boxer, he may not be that bright. He may not realize he has to call his bank and tell them, no, these are legitimate purchases. I'm just going off right now. So there's that. Let's see what else he has to say from this video he is posting despite apparently not being able to get into Instagram or anything or not having a phone. How are you posting this video?
You know, I'm being real taken advantage. And I personally...
Yes, he is being taken advantage of by the boxing industry and his managers.
I wanted just to send out a video to the people that love me and my fans and family that's concerned that I'm okay. I'm not dead. I believe in Jesus. All those are lies. And, you know, they try to put me in jail. They're blocking my...
Who tried to put you in jail? Who are they? Of course, it's going to be the Jews again, most likely.
Cards. I can't access my money. Nobody's hitting me back.
Everybody's scared of you after that rant.
I don't know what's going on, but just know I'm okay.
So he's saying he doesn't have access to his social media. He can't communicate at a large scale like he would normally be able to.
Bro, he literally posted this on the internet. And no doubt millions of people saw it if you did.
He doesn't even have access to his bank accounts or his credit cards.
I would also like to see some proof of that.
Like, this is why it's so, like, when we talk about this one world government currency that's a digital currency that is completely in alignment with what's going to happen when the Antichrist comes.
Oh, Lord.
In the book of Revelation, which will probably happen sooner than a lot of us are prepared for. The reality is that...
Don't you people think the rapture is going to happen like any day now? I mean, and, most people who believe in the rapture, which is unbiblical, by the way, most people who believe in the rapture think they're going to be taken before the one world government satanic stuff happens anyway.
They can shut you down in a moment if you're not playing by the rules that they've put in place. Is that what's happening here? He's saying so. Again, no proof of it, but it's still something you're going to have to be concerned about and take...
No, it isn't. I am not going to spend so much as a single minute concerned about it myself, aside from concerned about responding to this video, because, oh my God, this shit is insane.
And take note of over the next, starting today. Let's just start today and start taking privacy a little bit more seriously. Final video I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to share kind of like the gauntlet of what does this mean? Like, what do we do with all of these speculations and all of this quote-unquote conspiracy here?
Bring back the mental institutes and asylums, please.
Here's the final thing he says that I think is really...
Here to announce my return back to Instagram. Now, over these past couple of days,
Is he wearing a Julius Caesar crown? It looks like he's wearing a Julius Caesar crown. But also, before we continue with this video, I just want to point out the comments here. Where's his tattoo, they say. Not a clone, he's reading off a script. That cameraman definitely pointing something at him. Oh my God. He's either reading a script or it's AI. You can tell it's a clone. The voice, the face, and the hand doesn't have the tattoo like the real Ryan. Or, the video could be flipped. He's just trying to get clout for his next fight. Possibly. That's the new AI. Reminds me of the movie Get Out. Prayers for Ryan, he's a good kid. Ask my boy, why don't you show your right hand, that tattoo you got on? AI, bro, AI. He's not even looking at the camera. Isn't that a filter? Etc., etc., etc. TikTok is leading us down a dangerous and dark path. Much more dangerous than any, satanic cabal of elites, I think.
you guys have seen some pretty intense things.
I mean, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist myself, because obviously that's what this is. But let me be a conspiracy theorist myself. Let's assume that you were a power hostile to America. Let's assume, for example, that you were China. And maybe you didn't like America getting stronger and stronger while you were stagnating. Let's just go ahead and assume that for a second. Would it be beneficial to you if you were to create an app that directs people in America to become more and more insane and conspiracy-brained and delusional? Wouldn't that be very good for you? Wouldn't that be something you'd want to do? Could it not be the case that TikTok itself is the conspiracy? In fact, I would say that's fairly likely at this point.
I understand what they are and I understand what they look like. But I'm coming back to announce I'm not going to speak on any other topic other than boxing, sports, and my fight. That's the only...
What is happening here?
Okay, Cap, let me lay it out for you, my guy. Here's what's happening here. His manager got to him and said, Cap, you're going a little bit crazy, my guy. If you don't chill out, they're going to cancel the fight and you're going to lose a lot of money and maybe not ever be allowed to box again because they're going to think you're insane and brain damaged. So they got to him with reasonable, statements of truth and said, here, read from this script that we've prepared for you. That's what's happening here.
Like, do you see this video? This is him after this whole deal that went down. He's wearing I don't know if that's like part of his brand, but he's wearing like a Caesar sort of crown on his head, which is, I wonder if that's symbolic. I don't know. But like, he's not even looking at the camera. He's clearly reading a script, and people in the comments are wondering if it's AI.
I return back to Instagram.
I think the AI accusation is kind of funny. Let's say you are a global satanic elite, and you, for some reason, want to get Ryan Garcia. You want to stop him. Why would you, clone him or make AI of him that's really unconvincing? Why would you want to do that? So, yes, it's literally just his team has gotten to him, and they've said, dude, you are going to lose everything if you don't stop. And he's reading from a script they wrote to make him seem like he's not completely insane and unreasonable. That's all it is. He seems very stiff and stuff because he's not used to reading scripts, I imagine. I mean, the guy doesn't seem like much of an actor, let's be honest. But no, it's not Get Out, it's not AI, it's not clones. He's reading off of a script because he doesn't want to lose everything. And now he's realizing, oh, crap, I may lose everything.
Pretty intense things. I understand what they are and I understand what they look like. But I'm coming back to announce I'm not going to speak on any other topic other than boxing, sports, and my fight. That's the only thing I'm going to be talking about. And I'm training for this fight. I want everybody to know this fight's still on. 420, 5 weeks of super focus. I have PBD helping me in this camp and many other warriors. So I thank you guys for the support, and I'll see you guys on 420.
What?
There is no way Cap is this confused by this situation. I don't think Cap is exactly a peak intellectual or anything, but there is no way he's really this confused by this situation. He has to be playing this up for his audience of complete dipshits.
What? Strange. I wonder, who's PBD? Let me know who PBD is in the comments, because I know PBD is Patrick Bet David, but Patrick Bet David's not a boxer. He's a media guy. I don't know.
Or maybe he was serious.
I don't know what I don't know, but this is crazy, man. Okay, what does this mean for you and for me? Like, what we're going to put on our tinfoil hat and we're just going to, go down the rabbit trail and binge?
Rabbit hole. Why do so many people say rabbit trail? It's a rabbit hole.
This stuff. Here's what I want to tell you. I'm going to show you some scripture that's going to help you out with this.
Okay, we're not doing that. But also, I watched this video before, and he does go into, this divination thing. Christians, for some reason, very often use the Bible as basically a divination tool. They'll say, Jesus, give me the answer, and then they flip open their Bible, and whatever it lands on, they're like, a blessing from the Lord. In this case, it's Luke chapter 12, verses 2 and 3 in the New King James Version. For there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, nor hidden that will not be known. Therefore, whatever you have spoken in the dark will be heard in the light, and whatever you have spoken in the ear in the inner rooms will be proclaimed on the housetops. Now, he takes this to mean that the Satanic Conspiracy will be unveiled. But no, that's not what that's referring to. That was referring to what people have said about Jesus being revealed. I'm pretty sure. I think that's the context. I haven't checked in a while, but I'm pretty sure I know the verses in question. So anyway, he's doing the typical, let's interpret Bible verses to mean things they don't thing, which they've been doing for a long time. So anyway, this video was just full of insanity, and the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, I got to do a video on this. There is a part 2. I don't know if I'll do a video on that. I guess it depends on how this one does. If this one does okay, I guess I will. But I don't plan to currently, so we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good one. At least a better one than Ryan Garcia, because Jesus Christ.